Hey everybody, my first interview guest of the day is the one and only Ward Richmond with Colliers. Ward, how you doing today?
Scott, great to see you, my friend.
Man,
I'm
great.
doing great.
Great to see you. I tell you, we go back quite a ways, right?
We do.
And I'm gonna tell you, Ward used to join us like once a month, and we got to know him from a variety of perspectives, from supply chain real estate to his music career to now he is doing some great things with his podcast called Truckin' On. So folks, we'll talk more about that in a second. But Ward, for starters, let's assume the folks missed all those interviews we did together previously. Tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I'm born and raised in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
And grew up here. I went to college on the East Coast at Brown University.
Yeah.
I played football there.
Got a scholarship to play football.
Ivy Leagues don't give scholarships, so but I did go play football in college.
Okay.
For a year, got injured.
Right.
That's really when I started pursuing my passion of music. So got into music, so I would play with my band whenever I'd come home for summer and winter breaks. And then after college, I worked in real estate for a couple years after college.
Is that your first taste of real estate?
I interned at places.
Okay.
And my father is a commercial real estater, does something totally different than what I do today, but he was kind of tied into it and always recommended that it's a great business to get into. And so I got a taste of it through college. I leased office space for 2 years, and then my band got signed to a record deal. So I quit my job, hit the road, and we played 200 shows a year.
Wow, 200 shows a year.
Yeah.
What's tougher, that kind of concert schedule or supply chain real estate?
That kind of concert schedule. I tell people all the time, it was the best job I could ever imagine having when I started, and hit the road. And then after 4 years, it's the toughest job I've ever had, for sure. It's every night you're in a bar. We didn't hit the big time or anything, so barely making ends meet. It's traveling in a van, sleeping on couches.
Oh yeah, okay.
Living without electricity for months at a time.
But passionate about the music, passionate
Yeah.
about what you're delivering.
Passionate about it. It's fun. You're in bars every night. You're partying. You're in your early 20s.
Right.
I mean, we traveled Europe, Australia, New Zealand. Got to see the world.
I forgot about that.
So some people like backpack through Europe. I van tripped it through Europe for 4 years nonstop. And but then I always kept my real estate license and decided to get back in the business and stop touring when I was around 27. It was 2006, so it's almost been 20 years.
Okay.
And my friend was doing industrial real estate, and that really appealed to me. So,
Which is different than office real estate, right? You're talking warehouses, fulfillment centers, even production facilities. That kind of stuff.
Manufacturing facilities, warehouses, fulfillment centers, like truck terminals, trucking facilities.
All right. So Ward.
Yes.
So check out this number, and check me if I'm wrong here. I was doing my homework on the one and only Ward Richmond before we got together here today.
Yeah.
Since then, since coming back from the world of rock and roll and getting into industrial supply chain real estate, you and your team have completed over 1,000 transactions in 50 cities around the world, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, over 1,000.
Over 1,000.
I was just looking at our stats since 2020, so we've done 34 million square feet worth of deals since COVID, and in the last 5 years, and that's 62 different cities, and we've done about 400 transactions in the last 5 years.
Wow.
So so in the last 20 years, over 1,000 for sure. We work throughout North America and primarily the U.S., but also a lot in Canada and Mexico.
That is remarkable, man. So let's do this. Let's talk about, we're here in the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex.
Yeah.
Someone had to coach me to make sure I was using that term right. He might be sitting back in the corner over there. But Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex.
That's
right. What are some of your favorite things about working and living, and more on living here first?
The food's impeccable here. So I think we have the best steak in the world. I travel for a living, granted. I always have since I was in my band, and now I work all over North America. So I travel quite a bit. I have a lot of clients in Europe, but Dallas, the best steak in the world, Bob's Steak and Chop House.
Okay.
The best Tex-Mex food. So I like to go to El Vecino, it's by me. So the food is really amazing. I love our airport here in American Airlines, the DFW airport. You can fly anywhere in North America in 3-ish hours, and that's fantastic.
You know, really quick, the airport, some folks, it may surprise them. DFW is the world's 3rd busiest airport as of, I think that's 2024 full year numbers.
Yeah, that makes sense because there's so many flights that come through here. So if you want to go, if you're coming from the east or west coast, it stops in Dallas quite often to get you to your destination. Living here, I can go to Mexico City 3 hours, Toronto in 3 hours, LA in 3 hours, Atlanta in 3 hours, Miami, and it's very convenient. So I travel a lot for business, a lot for pleasure. So the thing about Dallas is we don't have a beach, we don't have mountains. It's rolling farmland basically, and but it's easy to get out of here and go to any climate I want to go to in North America. So I love that aspect.
So food, travel, convenience.
Yeah, we have a great music scene. Like Post Malone's from here. I don't know if you knew that. Leon Bridges is from here.
Who's Post Malone?
Come on. You've never seen him?
I'm kidding.
He's the guy that made face tattoos popular.
Yeah, hey, different strokes for different folks.
That's
for sure.
right. I'm not there yet. So I haven't gone below the wrist. Like hands and neck, just are off limits.
Since we did a quick aside on music, we were talking kind of before we started this interview, and you were kind of talking about your own musical process. Because you're still releasing albums, and you were sharing with me that you about once a month, you build a song from start to finish. The lyrics, the music, and as you accumulate those songs, that's when you end up releasing the album. Is that right?
Yeah. So I've been writing songs since I was in high school, and I've continued to do that. It's almost like a meditative practice for me. So I have an acoustic guitar, sit on my couch most mornings, and work on songs. And they come in spurts, you know. I'll write 10 songs in a couple months, and then I might not write one for 6 months or something. So it's kind of interesting, but I'll always sit down and be tinkering around with my guitar. I actually just started taking a guitar intensive to get better at playing the guitar because I was a bass player in my band back in the day, but I'm trying to get better at the guitar. So that's a new little music thing that I'm working on.
Okay, man. You're one of your themes that I've picked up on since the first time we met at an industry conference. I bet it was like 2016 or 2017 in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Is you are focused on continuous improvement no matter if it's business, if it's pleasure with music. I mean, you're just one of those that always sees a better way to make it happen, huh?
Yeah, well, I think we're always changing, so you have to make the decision, are you going to get better or get worse? Because if you're being stagnant and not trying to improve, then you're going to be going downhill. There's no such thing as staying, in the same place, I don't think, in this world.
Yep. Change or die, as some folks that have jumped on my show has said. I'm not sure if I'm quite there, but there's a good bit of truth in that, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And but I have different passions. I would say I don't dabble in anything that I'm passionate about. I like to fully explore it and master whatever I'm interested in. I don't want to be
meandering.
I don't want to be like mid-level hack kind of a guy in this life.
No mid-level hacks. Love it. All right. So we were talking before I made a hard right turn back to music. You were sharing about the great food scene, the music scene, the travel scene, all here in the DFW metroplex. Yeah. Let's talk about from an industry standpoint, right? Yeah. When folks that maybe don't do business here, what elements of the local ecosystem might surprise folks?
Well, I mean, I'm doing industrial real estate, so that's what I think about when I think about business. I know that a lot of companies are moving here though with high dollar salaries for their employees. Like Goldman Sachs just moved their headquarters here. State Farm Insurance did like a decade plus ago. Toyota moved their U.S. headquarters here. all of these companies are moving here because Dallas has a low cost of living. We're in the central time zone. We have great weather, no state income tax, all these things. So then all of these people that keep moving here, that creates a demand for product because there's a lot of consumers spending a lot of money, and that creates a demand for warehouse space, of course. So in terms of our industrial real estate market, we now have 1 billion square feet of warehouse space in DFW, which makes us the 4th largest market in North America.
Okay.
So I think it's New York, LA, Chicago, DFW.
Okay.
And I think we're on our way to overtake Chicago. So that should happen, I would guess, in like 10 years.
Okay.
Because so many people are moving here and people are moving away from there.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are leaving California and coming here. You'll see bumper stickers that say, "Don't California my Texas."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. So lots of growth, evolution, lots of inbound growth, transient growth, whether it's industries or the talent themselves. You were talking, I think, about the retail and e-commerce sector here is very vibrant. Transportation, logistics, the manufacturing. Some other plants that might surprise folks. Lockheed Martin has got a big presence here. GM's got a big presence here. Bell Textron, big employee, thousands and
My
thousands
grandpa
of people.
worked at Bell Helicopter
Really?
back in the day, yeah.
Really? Did he assemble things? Or
He was an engineer. He's a mechanical engineer. So
Man.
I know he worked on the Airwolf helicopter. So when I was growing up, we're the same age. So
Okay,
when we were
Ward.
growing up, you know Airwolf.
Yes, I do. And folks, if you don't, really quick aside, because this is a cool thing that Ward has never shared with me before somehow. So Airwolf was a incredible 80s sci-fi television show that focused on like this incredibly cool, sleek helicopter. So your granddad, you said,
He worked on it. He helped design it and build it, yeah.
Okay, I bet there's some, we're going to have to
Pretty
get him
cool.
to join us and dive into some of those stories. Okay, before we
He's
ask,
here right now.
Get out of here.
Looking on from heaven.
Oh, okay. Well, man.
It was his birthday last week, but yeah, he lived a great life.
Is there, I mean, there's only a handful of things I could think that would be cooler in the 80s or even in the 90s than someone saying, oh yeah, I worked on Airwolf.
It's pretty cool. It was cool.
All right, so before I get your thought or two about global supply chain, because it's a golden time, it's an intriguing time to be in supply chain, no matter if you're in the real estate space or any other. Anything else that you think is really important for folks, especially maybe in supply chain, right, and in supply chain, that they should know about the Dallas and Fort Worth region?
Yeah, it goes back to DFW Airport, and that's just the pinnacle of transportation here. Then you have Alliance Airport, which is a heavy industrial airport over in North Fort Worth. And the highway infrastructure, you have interstates 20, 30, 35, 45 that are all running through here. 35, of course, goes down to Laredo, so there's trucks coming up from Mexico. We have 2 intermodals. We have the BNSF and the UP. And so the transportation infrastructure is amazing.
Immense, yeah.
The land is flat and there's an abundance of it, so you don't have any like restrictions here like beach or mountains, which would be nice for me to go hang out by, but in terms of industrial land to build warehouse space on, there's a vast abundance of it, therefore much lower cost. It's easy to develop. Texas is business friendly. Dallas, Fort Worth is a business friendly place. So it's easy to go build buildings and get things done and get uses approved. There's a tremendous labor supply throughout this market. So low cost labor and lots of potential employees, and that's driving a lot of decisions now. And I mean, the state of Texas, just doing business in the state of Texas, it's like a cliche, I think, that it's the best place in the world to do business.
Okay. Well, almost friction-free, or at least low friction to make stuff happen here is what I'm picking up from you.
Yeah, I feel that way, and all the big name companies are here, like everyone you can imagine. I think Amazon has over 20 million square feet here now, but obviously, like, we're one of the largest distribution hubs around the globe. So if anyone's listening to this that doesn't know that, and you're in the supply chain business, you might want to rethink what you're doing.
Write that down.
Write that down. But it's crazy. We have so much space now because of the COVID pandemic. There was a surge in tenant velocity that was so huge that then the developers built so much space across the country, really. And now we're at a place where there's a glut of supply in the market. So if you go look for 300,000 square feet, you're going to have a list like of 100 plus options or something crazy like that.
Man.
So there's equilibrium is. We're searching for that right now in the market, and it's definitely a tenant's marketplace. There's so many options to go figure that out and go see, find the right building that works for you in the right part of town.
So y'all saw Ward kind of shift gears and going back to what he does every single day, supply chain real estate, industrial real estate. So given that it's a tenant's market, my humble advice, whether you take it or not, is work with a specialist, a guru, as you're looking how to expand your business, especially when it comes to new facilities and land. So, all right, so we made a nice segue because you're kind of painting a nice informative picture of what's going on in industrial real estate right now across the country. Anything else about global supply chain holistically that you find really intriguing to track and talk about, read about, like right now?
I think there's a lot of uncertainty right now. I think it's interesting. We're in the longest and deepest freight recession that we've ever been in, is my understanding. So hopefully we come out of that. Everything's cyclical, but that's super down cycled right now. It's been skidding across the bottom. So I know that's frustrating for a lot of trucking companies and people that are in the freight business.
Yeah.
So
backbone of supply chain. Yeah.
What's going to happen? It seems like it should bounce back, but we've also been in a boom market in so many ways for so long now that I also wonder how much longer that lasts. And if that falls apart, what happens? And I think freight typically shows when that's about to happen. And it's interesting that freight's been skidding along the bottom, but the general economy has been okay. I think anyone paying attention to it or working in corporate America knows that everybody is operating in a very conservative manner, and there's a lot of turbulence out there still. So I'm focused on that, like with everything going on with China and potential for new changes of laws and with trade to Mexico and Canada. What's going to happen? I don't know. But I would think there's going to be more of a demand for manufacturing facilities here. Data centers have been huge. They've been eating up a lot of industrial land that they'll pay like 5x the amount that a warehouse developer would pay for industrial land. But now I hear that NVIDIA told everyone you need these giant data centers to build AI, and now there's this Chinese company that says you can do it without building data centers. So what's going on? People just spent like $100 billion on data centers. So I mean, man, I'm just keeping my head down and doing what I know, and which is where are the good buildings? Who are the
pockets
developers
of value, right?
that are great to work with? And where can we go find value right now? And there's a lot of places to find value.
Yeah.
And
right.
There's some developers in this world that are very institutionalized, and they crushed it post-COVID because rents skyrocketed. They 5x'd in some places. They 3x'd here in Dallas, like across the board. And it's going to be interesting to see. But some of these large landlords, they can hold on for a while, and they can weather this storm when there's imbalance in the marketplace. But there's other developers who tried to jump in post-COVID and go be a real estate developer and have properties that have been sitting vacant for 3 years.
That doesn't always work, huh?
Those are opportunities to be had right now. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. But I think in terms of commercial real estate, industrial is still the strongest sector. I'm optimistic that will continue. Tenant demand hasn't disappeared. It's just back to what it once was, really, before COVID. So it's trickling in.
Yeah.
But to give you a feel, we were building 80 million square feet in the beginning of 2023.
Okay.
and now we're building 7 million square feet.
Oh, okay. 80 million to 7, so the volume is quite a bit different.
The space that was absorbed, and I'm just talking DFW, but the space that was absorbed back then in 2023 was like 35 million square feet of space, which tenants took down.
Yeah.
This year, this past year, 2024, was 19. Okay. So I'm actually telling you a 2022 absorption number, but now it's like down to 19.
Gotcha.
And so we're seeing just drastic shift in lower activity. And what happens? Does it explode again because some COVID-like event occurs? Maybe. Or does it stay here? I think it stays here. It might go down a little bit and then it'll go back up, but I don't see it like a significant drop off more so than we've seen right now.
I'm going to follow your lead, Ward, because you know real estate, and my crystal ball has been broken for a very long time, right?
Right.
But I'll tell you this much. You mentioned Goldman Sachs earlier. They've got some very optimistic analysts that project kind of a return to a lot more M&A activity, especially in supply chain, startup investments. That's a great thing. And you mentioned the freight recession on the front end of your response there. And there's a lot of numbers that suggest we're going to make some progress from the bottom that we've seen the last year or two. So I'm constructively optimistic. Right?
I heard it's down 50% and they're expecting it to go up 30% this year. Okay. So you'll still be down 20% from what it was or something.
But at least 30%.
That's a stat I heard last week.
We'll see.
But and that's of course crystal ball.
Everyone's got one. Some of them work really well. Others do not.
I heard a quote, and I have to look at my quote notes to tell you because it's worth sharing. I think. I don't know. Do you do quote notes, Scott?
I'm happy. I've never heard of quote notes, but we might have
Whenever
to add
I
it to
hear
our
a
approach.
good quote, I just put it in my phone.
Okay.
And
I wonder what else is in there.
It says prediction is tough, especially about the future. And that's Yogi Berra.
Gotta love Yogi Berra quotes. He is one of a kind. Probably a better quote master than baseball player. I don't know. Still a Hall of Famer, I think, either way. Okay, so folks, if you can't tell, I love talking Ward, and a lot of folks love listening to Ward, whether he's talking music or supply chain or you name it. And one of the last couple things I want to touch on is this Trucking On podcast. Now, folks, as I shared on the front end, me and Ward had a great opportunity to work together regularly a couple years back, right? And I knew he was going to launch a world-class podcast. It was just a matter of when. And Ward, I tell you, it's been so awesome to watch you kind of roll out the episodes, watch them evolve. And I think 2025, based on our earlier conversations, you're going to take it to a whole new level. So what is Trucking On about in a nutshell, and what can folks expect this year?
So Trucking On, and by the way, I have to give you a huge thank you because the first podcast I ever did was with you.
Really?
Yeah, at that conference in Atlanta. And then I started my real estate show on Supply Chain Now.
Really?
That was 2019.
That's like someone who has a stage and Elvis appears on their stage for the first time. So I felt pretty special after you shared that.
I felt very special doing it. I would fly out to Atlanta once a month, if you recall, before COVID, and do a real estate show.
Yep.
And that we would co-host. And I loved doing that and got my taste of podcasting. Now, that podcast, I just did commercial real estate stuff.
Right, that's right.
And I knew after like 2 years of doing that there was only so much that I did not get bored talking about. I just got bored talking about commercial real estate all the time.
Right.
There's only so much you can talk about, is what I was saying.
Well, to that point, Ward, as I recall those trips you came in, we spent time. We should have recorded like the pre-show sessions where we kind of talked about life and the journey and music, all this stuff. And then to your point, then we got into the podcast and it was all about real estate. And there's only so much.
Yeah.
So Trucking On really is a much broader. So tell us about Trucking On.
So I'm weaving, I would say, all things that I'm passionate about, which includes real estate, of course, music, mental health, and spirituality. And I ask all my guests the same 15 questions, which is basically like a therapy session. And I tell people my only qualification for a guest is that they are real. And if you're real and you come into it and you're your authentic self, it's going to be a great episode. It doesn't matter if you're just in your first year in business or if you're a master of your profession. I find them equally interesting, and I learn just as much from these, from all of my guests, really. And then I do my occasional episodes where I talk about things that are on my mind. So that might be a market update on commercial real estate, or it might be 10 ways to navigate getting divorced, because I just recently got divorced, you know. So I share, here's what I did when I got divorced. I have an amicable relationship with my ex-wife. I want to share that with the world.
Yeah.
Here's 10 reasons why I didn't drink yesterday, because I don't drink alcohol. So I want to share these things and be really open about that. And then if someone's looking or considering quitting drinking or thinking about starting drinking again, I hope that I have a nice little 15-minute episode they can go check out and like, oh, okay, like let's do this. Yeah.
Stuff that matters.
Stuff that matters to me, and I put it on there, and if someone else picks it up, great, and if not, it helps me be accountable to myself with a lot of these things, or remember little insights I get along my road while I'm trucking on. So
love it.
That's
love
it. It's fun, and you're going to be a guest tomorrow. You're coming over to my studio, and I can't wait.
I can't wait either,
Yeah.
Ward. I really can't. And folks, you're going to want to check out Trucking On, and that's trucking apostrophe, right? So if you're trying to search for it in Apple, Spotify, or whatever, you're going to want to add it to your list of podcasts. So Trucking On with Ward Richmond, and you got some big plans this year, so folks, you got to tune in. All right, so folks, to connect with you back on the industrial side, where y'all closed all these transactions, all these different places, folks can go to supplychainrealestate.com.
Yes, sir.
And learn more.
Yeah.
I think y'all put blogs out. You're at events.
Yeah.
You got your finger on the pulse, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywhere else folks can track you down?
That's really it. If you want to hear my music, you can go to Spotify.
Okay.
Search for my name, Ward Richmond. I have a couple albums up there. Hopefully more to come. And yeah, that's it.
And that's enough.
You can Google me and it'll all pop up.
All right, folks, we've been talking with my dear friend Ward Richmond with Colliers. Check out his podcast, check out his music, and hey, if you're in need, looking for innovative ways to grow, check him out at supplychainrealestate.com. Ward, thanks so much.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep.